Hey everybody, and welcome back to another fishing report for Lake of the Woods. I'm Paul with Riverbend Resort. It has been a while since I've done one of these reports. Been doing some traveling, taking a family fishing vacation. I'll tell you about that in just a little bit, but I want to jump right into the fishing and what's been going on. Get that information to you, and if you want to stick around and listen to some of the things I've been doing this August, hang out after this report and I'll fill you in. So lately, a lot of the fish have been gravitating out towards the deeper water. So I put our little fish icons kind of in the general location, but I want to cover just a little bit of the formats and what we're using to catch those fish and kind of some of the exact points of where we are finding them. So let's jump right in. So if this is the first fishing report that you have watched, just a little bit of where we're located and where we're at. We are located just on Wheeler's Point, right on the Rainy River, right down at the bottom of the map here. So if you are staying at the resort or leaving from the Rainy River, navigation, follow the buoy lines out through Lighthouse Gap, and that brings you out into the lake out here. From there, of course, all depending on how the wind is blowing for the day, you know, this whole past month, the wind has actually been pretty fair. We've had some wind days in there. Again, utilizing those other access points on the lake. If we have some strong west winds, some strong northwest winds, you have, the Boston Creek, Morse Point has a launch there, Zippo Bay State Park, Long Point Resort, Arneson's Rocky Point, all access points to get you out on that lake, out of that wind, and sometimes can shorten travel. If you look here, up to the areas of where we've been fishing. So Long Point, if you're bringing your own boat up, you're a DIY fisherman, you know all the tactics, techniques, don't be afraid to use these other access points to locate and get better locations on the lake for shorter travel distances. Otherwise, if you're leaving through Rainy River out into the lake, you get out into the Big Traverse Bay out in here. Deep water is going to start, probably 2.5, 3 miles out. You start hitting that 30-foot line. Everyone is still kind of utilizing this big open basin here and running downriggers or pulling spinners with crawlers attached to those, just drifting through, using that wind, drifting those spinners, pulling those crankbaits, lead core, downriggers, snap weights, planer boards, however you got to get that bait down deep and running, just a foot or two off the bottom, covering ground, finding those biting pods of fish. Some more of the concentrated locations where some of the big schools of fish have been biting. North of Long Point, if you're familiar with Lem's Reef, it's also known as 3 Mile Reef, is approximately 3 miles north of Long Point. Up into this deeper water, 36, 37 feet of water. Pulling spinners, pulling plugs, just covering ground all the way up towards Driftwood Point. Glenn's Reef is another one. And then heading east. I always talk about triangulating Long Point to Garden and then down to the 9-footer and then back over. So if you take that triangulation line like this and come back over, this whole basin is holding on to a lot of fish in the middle. Some key concentrated schools north of that Lem's Reef or 3 Mile Reef area, holding a lot of biting pods, moving around, finding the fish that are biting. You see the schools on the bottom, whether you're using just regular sonar or forward-facing sonar. You'll locate those pods of fish. You'll see them, drop lines down, run through them, see if they're biting. If they're biting, great. If not, move on to that next point. Troll on to that next point until you find those biting fish. Some areas that we fished earlier this week, west of Bridges, and south towards like the South Bridges Reef line. I don't know if you can see this contour line here. You can kind of see how it jigs and jags. We were up in that 31 to 33 foot flat area between South Bridges, Middle Bridges, and then Bridges Island right there. Just drifting spinners. We had some north winds. It was a perfect drift north to south. You get to the south side, fall off down into 33 to 36 feet of water. Still marking fish, but they weren't biting fish. They were up on top of that 31 to 33 foot area. Moving up north even further, past Garden, the west side of Hay and Little Oak. We call it Shore Lunch, just north of Garden Island here. You have 4 Block and Crow Duck up here. This whole area, this whole basin in here is also holding some fish. And that's a little bit shallower water. You're gonna start out and about 23, 24 feet, you can drift up to the flat. It stays about 15 feet, approximately 13 to 15 feet on the top of there. Shallower water, but they're up in there, they're active, they're feeding. You'll get some smaller fish in there. They're not, you know, as big, but there are some good fish in there as far as filling the box, getting some good eaters. But lots of numbers of fish. I heard just north of Little Oak, closer towards 4 Block, they were getting some bigger fish up in there. So these areas are shallower, but running your wind, using your drift, and just covering that ground, pulling spinners and crawlers. Some are using leeches as well. And then dropping back down to the south side of Garden. You know, these whole areas right in here just are holding fish. So applying that drifting method with the crawlers, spinners, spinner colors, we were using hammered gold, just plain gold. Pink with a white line through the middle was working really good as well. You know, the wind was kind of variable at sometimes. We were having to run 2-ounce weights on our spinner lines just to keep them on the bottom because the wind was picking up and blowing. But having the versatility of your size of weights, anywhere from 1 ounce up to 2 ounces, you'll be able to adjust and adapt when you're with your wind speed. Now, if you're running trolling motors or you're bumping in and out, using that, you know, you'll know what you'll need for speed in order to keep that weight just off the bottom as it pulls that crawler through. Now we are approaching, so we're in the dog days of summer up here on Lake of the Woods. You're gonna see that green algae bloom on the lake, and it's gonna kind of be everywhere. Now in most lakes around the state, you get into that green algae bloom on the lake and fishing can tend to slow down. They like to move a lot deeper, kind of harder to find. Lake of the Woods is a little bit different. When August gets here, we're pretty excited because it's a pretty solid bite. You know, running crawlers, down rigging, pulling them cranks in however method you need to. But then the fish are also starting to transition. Now that we're towards the end of August, they're gonna start moving in towards some of those rock piles and kind of feeding on those crayfish that are moving towards those rocks as well. So you have other rock piles that are out there, the 9-footer that's right there, the 29-footer. You get up into the Night Island reefs, you have them kind of all around in this area here, right along Night Shoals. You get up towards bridges, you got north bridges, middle bridges, south bridges, and just moving on those rock structures and just anchoring up and vertically jigging. Gold, pink, you know, 3/8 ounce jigs, frozen shiners. If you just want to sit in that spot and you want to feel that fish from first bite all the way to the net, jigging this time of year is going to start picking up. Now we are approaching the beginning of September. This is this time frame where walleyes are starting to get ready to move back down to the Rainy River area. So fall time is coming. We can feel it in the air. We get the hot days and the cool nights. We get the fog development in the morning, but these fish are slowly migrating and making their way down to chase them shiners coming up this fall up into the Rainy River. Now, we typically, the first week in September, we'll see an early run of the emerald shiners, and they're usually the smaller shiners that are coming in. That's the first group of shiners that starts this migration. And so we heard reports of people out fishing in the river last week and picking up their walleye limits. Group of 3 was out, they kept 12 walleyes that ranged anywhere from 15 to 17 inches. We're hearing of some bigger resident walleyes hanging out by some of the pilings up by the bridge in town, right in Baudette, the railroad bridge and the international bridge that gets you over into Canada as well. So we're starting to see those migrations of fish moving towards the river as September progresses and we move into October. If you've never experienced a fall bite up here on the Rainy River, it is something that's pretty magical. It is not their spring spawning migration, but the shiners come in and they're concentrated. The emerald shiner being one of the main food sources of the majority of the walleyes in this lake. They follow them up the Rainy River and we get some really good concentrated bites happening come September, mid to late September, and then October is just kind of a lights out walleye fest here. And every year's a little different, but the bite is typically pretty good. Some years it's so strong that it's just big fish after big fish. If you've seen some of those videos that have been produced by some people that have been fishing out of here, you can see that October can be pretty magical. Anything else to cover as far as what fishing is just watch your winds, utilize your access points. Those are really key on getting out of those wind direction areas where you can put your boat in and fish some navigable waters where you're not being blown all over. You can actually manage your boat and fish. Other options we run charter boats. You know, if this lake looks like it's intimidating, no worries. We have all the gear on the boats. The guides are out fishing every day. They know where the fish are moving. You hop in the boat, you bring some clothes. You know, we can provide the sack lunches for you. We provide all the bait, the tackle, the guide is in there. You hop on the boat, they take you out for a great day of fishing. And we leave that river and we can access the majority of the lake because our vessels are fit to handle some of the bigger water and the bigger waves that can happen. If you don't have a boat and you don't want to hop on a charter boat, you know, there's rental boats available through Escape Boat Rentals and Marine Assist. Just a short distance from the resort. Doug and Melanie, great people to work with. They'll set you up with a great fishing boat that's got all the equipment that you need. Bring your fishing poles, come on up, check it out, experience it. Great opportunity for the fall fishing season that's coming up. You don't have to go out too far. You can fish in the river and get on that fall emerald shiner migration and that fall river run. The reason I haven't been able to do this, we took a family trip. So we are a family-owned resort, and as a family, we do enjoy fishing a lot. So every year in August, we try to get away. We bring our family, Brandy and I and the boys, and we go out and we go on some fishing adventure somewhere. This year, we had an amazing opportunity to go up to Alaska and get on a salmon run in the Kenai River. We started our adventure on Kodiak in a little town village called Port Lions. We did some halibut fishing. We caught some cod, some skate, some king salmon, some silver salmon. What a blast. Just downrigging, big spinners, spoons behind that. That is something else. From that leg, we went up to the Kenai Peninsula. We hooked up with Corey Loeffler with Funny River Row. If you're looking for lodging opportunities, you want to fish the Kenai, Funny River Row. Great lodging experience, cabins, units that right across the road from the Kenai. You're centrally located in Soldotna. To pop, down to Homer if you want to jump on a charter. You can go out for some halibut and some yellow eye and some cod. And then you're also not too far from Seward and Whittier and right by that Cook Inlet with Soldotna. So such a fun, amazing trip. We harvested a bunch of salmon, brought some home. Now we just got to come up with some recipes to cook that stuff up. But we love fishing. We love, as a family, taking those fishing trips as well. And that's why we like being in this business, is we get to offer that same family tradition and that family fishing experience. So if you haven't started one and you want to start one, we'd love to help you out. Get you up on a fishing trip, jump on a charter, see the lake for the first time, experience it. If you really enjoy it and you really like it and you feel that you can do it on your own, bring your boat, rent a boat, come back, jump on another charter boat, or we do have small boat guide options as well. That'll get that group of 1 to 3 out fishing. So a lot of options. We love to fish, and we hope that we can show that when you come up and visit us. So thanks for tuning in for this live fishing report. I'm Paul with Riverbend Resort on Lake of the Woods, and I'll try to make sure I get these out on time as well. Now that we're coming into the fall fishing season shortly, we're really excited. It can be some lights out fishing, and it's going to be great. So everyone have a wonderful, safe Labor Day weekend. Summer is kind of coming to a close. We hope you all had a great summer, and stay tuned. We'll get back at you again with the next fishing report. Thanks, everybody.